Hello, friends. So we're back for days 3 to 6, and dueling has been going pretty well. Smaller gains. I'm definitely feeling a lot more confident in my fights, which you can see here. Some guy came and tried to gank me in the middle of my little map collecting session. So my dodging has been improving, and my getting my burst combos off have also been improving, so that's been quite good. But you'll see in some of the fights, in the later fights that I'm going to show you, I still really need to keep an eye on my tempo and just slowing things down. That seems to be something that's causing me to get caught in stuns, which has obviously resulted in me dying a lot. Okay, so I just need to touch on something that happened the other day. Generally speaking, people have been really positive about the videos, or at least that's what I've heard. But the other day I heard that some people have been really upset that they've been, or aggravated that they've been put in the video. And I can sort of understand that, because if I've had a really good fight, then the converse will be that they could have potentially had a bad fight. And then now everyone can see it online. My intention's never been to try to make out that I'm some kind of a pro. I feel like this channel is about, the opposite of that. Like, I'm not a pro, but I'm trying to get better and then showing some of those, what I've learned along the way. And so I do try my hardest to sort of state if I've lost a lot to someone, that I've lost a lot to them. But I like to show when I've won, because I like to show what I did right, if that makes sense. I think in the future I just need to be a little bit clearer if I've had a long dueling session with someone that I lost a lot. And there's a few ways I can go about that, which I'm going to try to do in the future. I want to have like a really honest assessment of how well I've been doing. And so I think what I can do is also show maybe where I've been getting ruffle stomped a little bit. Some people have mentioned that I should ask, or I could ask people every time I have a fight with them, but that's going to really limit the pool of videos I can put up, simply because if I've had a really good fight and someone's had a bad one, then they're always going to say no. But I think maybe if I've had a really bad one and they've had a really good one, sometimes I can include that as well. So it is a bit more of an honest assessment. The only other option is I just go play bow rapier and an OPR and just get 1v1s there and just stop dueling. So that would be the other option. So let me know what you think. Okay, so on day 4, I had some fights with Toby Swagaya, who hasn't actually been on very much, so he's probably a little bit rusty. I think from memory we had about 3 or 4 fights, and I won the last one, and he won all 3 before that. The problem I had in these fights was being able to get in and do my damage and avoid the quick CCs he's able to get off with that spear. And also when I am going for my attacks, to avoid getting riposted. So you can see an example here where he does the vault kick right into me, and then I'm just stunned, and then he does like all that backstab damage from the rapier. And it's just really hard to avoid that attack, because they can just get it off so quickly. And you can see here I do a good job avoiding his riposte and then his next CC, but he's still able to do those little poke attacks with the spear and the rapier, and then they just slowly wear you down. So you can see here that at the start, I try to bait out some of his CCs. So I'm waiting for it to come, and then I dodge to the side, I try to get a swing, and then I dodge to his next CC, and then I try to get him in a combo. So that goes really well. I run myself out of stamina, but I managed to get him into a stun, but then he ripostes me. And then of course he's able to put all that damage onto me. But things are looking okay, but then I try a little strategy where I don't let him face me. So every time he's facing me, I know he's going to try to CC me. So every time he turns around, I dodge behind him. So I'm just really trying to be evasive myself and avoid his stuns. But he gets me in that one. So far the fight's going pretty well, but the key moment in the fight comes up here. I actually managed to catch him in a stun. I'm going for my big attack, and then he catches me in the riposte, and that is game over for me. So in the next fight, I'm determined to be even more evasive this time. So you can see there, I dodged backwards. The minute he started to move, I'm always trying to not let him face me. Every time he's facing me, I try to dodge behind him, because I know that he's got such quick stuns. That's when I'm most at danger. But you can see I'm getting into trouble here in terms of my damage compared to his. Yeah, so at this point he's definitely got the massive advantage, so we kind of circle each other a little bit, where he's sort of trying to poke me and reduce my damage down a little bit, and I am trying to be very evasive myself and not let him get those stuns off me. A good example of it is coming up here. I managed to get him in a stun and put some damage into him, and then just right here, you can see he's facing me, I dodge behind him. So I'm just trying to hit him, and then the minute he's looking at me, I'm just trying to like evade behind, or dodge behind him, so he can't get those attacks, those pokes off, or those stuns. Unfortunately, I get so carried away with it, I run myself out of stamina, and then he catches me in a riposte stun. So then the fight sort of carries on like this, where I managed to get him in a stun back. I'm trying to evade his attacks and get my little poke shots off on him. He's trying to get his stuns and poke shots on me. So it gets pretty down to the wire towards the end. But I do manage to win very, very closely. Day 2 was really, really frustrating. I was just fighting, like, again, I was fighting really, really good players. We were having quite long dueling sessions, and they were just running circles around me, basically, literally. So one of the people I fought was Grueling, and he's like a really, really good dueler. And we dueled for a long time. I can't remember. It would have probably been like an hour or two. And so I only won a handful of fights, so he was winning 95% of the time. So obviously I'm not going to show you every fight that I lost. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to show you what I learned along the way as I was losing. So right at the start, one of the first things I was doing wrong was just, my dodging was just terrible. I kept getting caught out by his stuns right at the start, which just allowed him to go through like all his burst rotations on me. And then of course he was dodging my stuns. Yeah, so he was really able to avoid, like, he was just, his dodging was impeccable. He was dodging all my stuns, and then every time I would try to go for a stun, he'd dodge it, and then he managed to counteract, and I just was not dodging his stuns as well. So what I did was I really slowed down my tempo. You can see that my swings are really slow here, and then by doing that I'm able to dodge his stuns, and then sometimes put some good damage into him. But then my next problem was literally, he would run circles around me. You can see that here, right? We're facing each other. Then he's just behind me hitting me. Then I try to turn around and face him. But then he's back on my back again. And it was just like that so many times where I would just be hitting air and he was just getting all these free attacks up on me. You can see in some of these later fights, my dodging was fine. My tempo was slow. And I overcame him kind of running circles around me. I increased my DPI, I think, a little bit, and then I just tried to do the same to him. Like, I tried to be just really conscious of where he was, and also tried to dodge behind him, kind of like what I was showing with the Toby Swagwire video before with the spear rapier. But what would be the problem is I'd get so mentally focused on making sure that my tempo was right, that I was always behind him, that towards the end, when I saw that I was doing well, I'd start to get a little overexcited and then increase my tempo, and then that would open me up to stuns like this, and then that was how I would start dying. But when I did get it right, when I kept my tempo slow and avoided the stuns, when I made sure that I was always at least facing him or trying to sort of dodge behind him at the same time, and when I didn't rush myself, like when I noticed that I was actually doing okay in the fight, and I didn't get overexcited and increase my tempo again, I was able to get some wins out of him. So this is sort of towards the end of the dueling session, where he still won way more than I won, but at least I was starting to get some wins. So I could definitely feel the progression in the dueling session. So right after Grueling, the pattern repeated itself with Dark Monster, although for not as long. I think we maybe fought, I can't remember, like 4 or 5 times, I think, maybe. And he was just ruffle stomping me the whole time. He's just, the thing with Dark Monster is he was just on me the whole time. Like, he just gave me no breathing room. And you can see, like, I'm panicking and how quickly I'm swinging. I'm just wildly swinging, trying to hit him. So the one fight that I did beat him, you can see, though, that after that long dueling session with Grueling, I'm actually playing much better than I was at the start. You can see that in this fight where I actually managed to beat him, I've really slowed my tempo down. So even though I did get caught in a stun there, I can just see by watching this fight, my tempo's a lot slower, I'm playing a lot calmer, and so that was probably the only, and I'm able to stay on him as well, so that was probably the only reason I was able to get a win off him, and I think that was my first ever win I've ever got off him. But again, he won, you know, he won like the 5 fights before this one. But what was cool was I actually had a dueling session with Blow Snow, and I'm sure he'll be fine with me saying this, and it was maybe 30 minutes, and I was winning predominantly quite early on. So this just goes to show how important pace is. So I could tell, this was after the Dark Months and Grueling duels, and I could just tell he was like, he wasn't pacing himself, he was rushing his attacks, trying to get his stuns off really quickly. And so you can see how, like, I'm able to stun him, and he's sort of finding it hard to stun me, although he does do it at one point in this fight. And so I sort of message him, and you can see it early on when I message him. I just sort of say to him, like, try slowing your pace down. That's really, really helped for me. So we've gone, and so then we go from me kind of beating him, and I'd say 4 out of every 5 fights we were having. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he slows his tempo down, he just became like a whole different type of fighter. And it became a lot more even in terms of some of our fights we were having. So you can see here, when you see him swinging, you can see he's really, really slowed down his tempo. And so he was able to dodge a lot of my stuns. It just evened things up a lot more. And he started winning a lot more from just slowing down his tempo. So that was kind of cool, just even seeing it from giving someone else that advice and then just seeing the improvement that they had from it. So yeah, if you're going to take anything away from this video, really just slow down your tempo, because it really, really works. It's very counterintuitive. You know, you want to be swinging faster because you think you're going to do more damage. You're not. You swing slower, you're not going to get stunned because you're not going to be mid-swing when they try to stun you. And you're going to be able to position yourself better to get those attacks off. So, yeah, big advice. Anyway, I'll just let this fight finish itself off, and then we'll go into day 6. The other cool thing is once you've had those dueling sessions, you're kind of on fire. And so, like, you know, you're able to, like, dodge really well, and you just come into, like, other duels and then just do really well like I do here. So, yeah, you just, like, got your form. But yeah, that was the end of day 5. I just remembered that I didn't actually duel yesterday. I did mostly OPRs just because I had a friend over. So, but on the note of the OPRs, I mean, the whole point of this series was to see, not just to get better at dueling, but to see also how well I go in things like OPR and arenas once I get at dueling. So I've been recording my damage, my score, kills, deaths, and all that kind of stuff in OPR. So I did it before I started dueling this week seriously, and then I've been recording kind of my damage and all that during the week after I've been dueling to see if there was an improvement, and I'll keep doing it week on week. So here are the results of that. And I just initially from my feeling thing, it's definitely helped. Like, I just feel like I'm getting more kills because I'm pacing because that whole tempo thing, when I slow myself down, when I'm in that kind of like washing machine where everyone's fighting and it's in the middle, I'm not getting stunned. I'm probably getting stunned about half as much because I'm just going slower. Whenever someone tries to CC me, I can sort of see it coming. I'm not kind of mid-swing. Also, I'm just able to apply my burst combos better. And I'm just able to make better decisions too. I feel like I've been doing that a bit more lately too. Like, kind of going in if I know we can win, but not necessarily going in if it's an obvious, like, loss. So I think there's been some situational awareness choices I've been making too, but I would say more than anything, it's just that change in tempo that I've been picking up in the duels that's just been really helpful in OPR as well, because also it's sometimes you just get a lot more kills from it too, because you're always hitting them, because you're not rushing your attack and then they're to the side of you, you're kind of like, you know, you're timing it, but you're hitting them every time to actually hit them more, I think. So, okay, in terms of damage, alright, pre-duels, my average position in a match was 13th. And then after my first week of duels, my average position in a OPR was 8th. Pre-duels, my average damage was 240k, and in the first weeks of duels, my average damage was 500k. And then in terms of kills, pre-duel, my average number of kills I was getting per match was 4.6. So 5, and then in the rounded up, and then in the first weeks of duels, the average number of kills I was getting was 8 rounded up, and then deaths, I was getting about 9 deaths per match pre-duels, and now I'm getting rounded up 6 deaths per match. So I've improved in every aspect, and that sort of fits with my own qualitative judgment, which is like I just feel like I've been doing really well. I should add too that most of these were without a healer. A couple of them, I did have someone queued up as a healer, but I told them to take me off group mode and to not heal me specifically, and just to heal that, like, everybody else and not really focus on me. So I tried to keep things consistent. So yeah, anyway, that's everything. I hope you've all enjoyed the video. It's a different style today, so definitely let me know what you think. And I will see you in a few days' time with the rest of the duels.